So welcome to this technical breakout session, Unified Communications on VDI, no problem with Citrix and IGEL. Let's start with a short introduction of the session. My name is Rob Beekmans. I work with Citrix now for 2.5 years in technical marketing, and I started in '93. Joined the EUC field when Citrix released WinFrame 16017. And with me, I got Ian Anderson. Ian, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi there. My name's Ian Anderson. I'm a pre-sales engineer. I'm the team leader for Northern Europe of the pre-sales team. I've been with IGEL for over 4 years. I've worked in end-user compute, mainly in the thin client industry, for about 12 years now. So I've been doing this for quite some time. But my job is to allow IGEL customers and potential IGEL customers get the best out of IGEL solutions and demo and show them how these things work.
Amazing. Can you tell something about IGEL and Citrix?
Yeah, of course. So, we work very closely with Citrix. We always have done. And I think that our integration is always getting closer and closer. And we really enjoy working with Citrix. It works very easily with our products, and because of the sort of close integration that we have, we can take all those core benefits and the core things that Citrix can do well, to allow people to reduce capex, improve efficiency and security, and we mirror those within what we do. So I think there is a huge amount of synergy between what the two companies do together and what we both do well, and so when you put that together, you get a really cool solution that really is beneficial for everyone involved.
I agree. I think so too. So let's move on and let's talk about 3 reasons why optimization is important. So why would we optimize unified communication solutions or anything? There are 3 reasons for this. It's experience, it's density, and it's cost. And first one is, of course, experience. By offloading process to the endpoint, unified communication processes, but really any process you can, the user experience is a lot better. The endpoint has more power to process. And the video, audio content doesn't need to be compressed while sent over the line. So you run it on the endpoint, and there it's processed, and then it's blended in with your.
Exactly. We get better frame rate. We get better resolution availability. It's just generally, it's just looks better and behaves better for the user, and that's what ultimately the user really cares about, right? They want to just see
what they care about. That's all. Yeah. That's all that matters. And when you offload, next to the fact that user experience, video quality, and audio quality goes up, the density of the environment goes up. So the best, you can see this as in a multi-user environment where you can host more users on the same host than without optimizing the workload. And again, this goes for unified communication solution, but also for browser content redirection.
Yeah, it just means like when you're planning for the density, right? When you're thinking about all the load all together at one point, you have to have an overhead in place to ensure you can account for that. The moment you start redirecting, then that overhead becomes smaller, so you can run your environment far more densely without the risk of slowdowns and decreases in performance.
Yeah. And if you have more density, you get lower cost, so you can load more users on a host. You need less hosts, and if you looked at port that to a cloud platform, then it means you can host more users per instance, and you need less instances. And if you need less instances, then the cost for your workloads is lower. So that's, I think, three strikes they call that.
Yeah.
That's why a good offloading platform and plugins and everything, they are really, really good to have.
Yeah, it's important. These things added up together are what make VDI work, right? If you get these things right, then suddenly it all starts to make sense, and the costs and the user experience and everything just works. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So let's go over a few basics, just that we understand why we optimize and how optimization works, because it works similar for all unified communication solutions. It's not Teams or Zoom, it's Webex, it's all the solutions are the same. So without optimization, we are using HTX real-time compression. Everything that you connect to, so with audio and video, with mouse, keyboard, everything is transferred, compressed with HTX compression. So if you would run a unified communication solution like this, unoptimized, audio and video is taking a long route from client to VDA, compressed from VDA to the other VDA, and then back to the client, all compressed. And you would see this instantly in a pixelated video performance and bad sound quality. This we call hairpinning or trombone effect. And when the caller is far away from the VDA, so let's say we would be running our VDA demos in the US, then we would connect to the US and things would go back to Europe again. then you have a really high round trip time, and that makes it even worse. And when you optimize it, I already clicked, it's apparently, in an optimized scenario, we use a different channel. So the optimized mode, you set up a direct channel between the endpoints. So that also handles the processing. And on video and audio processing, handled by the client, and then it's blended in with the virtual desktop. You would see this in a demo where we show that the CPU load on the virtual desktop is nearly 0%, and the endpoint is 20, 30, 40%, depending on what solution you run.
Yeah, it's just really streamlining that process, taking out that, like I say, that huge hairpin data center thing that we had.
So, and if we look at the solutions that Citrix and IGEL together are supporting, then we see we are supporting Teams and Zoom and Cisco WebEx and Skype for Business, and that's yeah, I think that are all the solutions in the market that are really being used right now. So that's a great partnership that we have.
Yeah, and that's the really great thing about Citrix is that you guys have done this all with us. You've got everything working incredibly quickly, and that's a real boon for Citrix. It's just everything that we need, and all the parts are there. There's no gaps really, and that's just great.
So there's a table, and a table is found on the tech zone from Citrix. I will not go in all the details, but please visit the article to learn about unified communication solutions with Citrix on IGEL. The article itself has links to plugins that you might need. I took the links out, of course, over here, but that's just to show there's a whole article there, and it's really easy to install. And Ian will also show later on how simple it is to enable the plugin within an IGEL on an IGEL device from the UMS.
Indeed.
And then it just works. There is no magic anymore. There are no hard things to install. It's just checking a checkbox.
It's almost criminally easy, really.
Yeah, right. That's how it also should be.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Always like that. So Citrix enables any unified communication solution to make use of our SDK. And if then they provide a plugin, you get an optimized solution. And the working of the SK is equal to what we just explained. There's a virtual channel to use for media and call control, and the plugin would be installed on the client to work with the Workspace app. And with IGEL, they provide the client and the plugin already on the IGEL device. You just have to check the checkbox.
Yeah, it's all built in.
Yeah, it's all built in. Yeah, so and with that, I think Ian is going to show how easy it is to.
So hopefully you guys are seeing my screen. And what we've got here now is this is the UMS, the IGEL Universal Management Suite. And I'm just going to click on a device itself and look at its configuration. So I can do that by right-clicking and then clicking Edit Configuration. And what happens is this is where we configure all the settings in IGEL OS. So there's over 7,000 different configuration settings we can control in here. But I mean, we don't use all those 7,000 in most cases, but it's good to know we've got those different options. Under Citrix here, we've got an option for Citrix Global, and then under Unified Communication, so it's got its own heading in here, we've got options for VDI solutions, and you can see in there we've got tick boxes. So all you have to do to enable the client-side part of this is just tick these boxes. It's incredibly simple. We apply these profiles. I mean, hopefully you're already familiar with how UMS works and how the profiles are applied, but these are applied automatically through the management console. The devices apply and pick up that they're allowed to use Teams or Zoom, and we can turn these off and on just by tick boxes. It's the same for things like Skype for Business with the real-time media engine, and also down for Cisco for WebEx, Teams, and VDI. We can just literally tick box these settings to turn them on the IGEL OS side, and then provided the infrastructure settings are set correctly in Citrix, then this stuff just works. So from our side, it's incredibly simple, and obviously all the Citrix side stuff, once it's done, is incredibly simple too. And you just join those two together, join a session with these settings enabled, and everything just works. So what I'll do now is I'll show you what that looks like from a device side. So I've actually shadowed onto an IGEL device here. So you can see this is the IGEL OS, and it's connected up to I'll just show you that here. It's connected up. So this is connected using the Workspace app on the IGEL client. And there we are. We're in the Windows session in Citrix. So I've had these settings turned on, as I showed you in the little tick boxes behind the screen there. Okay, so I'm going to shadow the IGEL device here. And here you can see I'm attached to the IGEL OS. This is actually already connected up to a VDI session. So I'm just going to show you. This is the Citrix Workspace app running on the Workspace via the web browser, in this instance on the IGEL OS device. So that's then connected to the Windows environment, and in that obviously we have the Zoom VDI installation in here. So this is the particular VDI installation they require you to use for Zoom in a VDI environment, and there it is up and running. And I'm going to just join a meeting. So I think Rob's got a meeting running. Hopefully, are you ready for me to join, Rob?
Yeah, I'm taking over the screen now so that people can see that you are joining my meeting.
Oh, so I type the password right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a difficult password. Oh, it's here on the screen even. Oh, people can see my password.
So there we go. So I will stop sharing, and you should now have your
I got the screen here, so.
Yep, perfect. So let me start my video.
Yeah, there you are.
And there we go. So there's me. Unfortunately, it's not a great webcam, but it's connected fine, and you can see that there's the CPU utilization. Rob's going to explain that now.
So you have Zoom here. Zoom is using 0% CPU. In the Citrix graphics engine uses 0% CPU, and so you see that the load is it's being offloaded to the client, and here it will show how it's offloaded to the IGEL client on his side. But it's just to prove here that it's the CPU level now is only 2%, and we're having a video call in Zoom, so running in a desktop somewhere in Europe. With Citrix optimization. So if you take back the screen and you show how it looks on the IGEL side.
No problem. So you should now have my screen again. There we go. Right. So this is now looking at the IGEL OS again. So if you look here, again, we can show that in the task manager of the VDI, you can see that the CPU utilization is incredibly low. It's down at 2%. If I then look on the IGEL side, I'm just going to launch a terminal session. I'm going to run the top command, and you'll be able to see the utilization there. So you can see the Zoom is at the top there. So using 44% of one CPU, so total CPU utilization of the IGEL device is 23.8. This is actually the entry-level device we're on here, the UD2, the base level device that we have. So you can see it's handling that now at that point compared to the CPU. Yeah, so we're just showing that the server side is doing very little at this point, and the IGEL OS device has picked up the slack and is now handling the webcam and the audio and all those things.
Doing quite a lot for 40% CPU offload.
Yeah, so that's 40% of one CPU. So if you look the top here at the left-hand side, it says 22.1. So that's the total percentage of because it's a quad-core device. So it's less than that. But
that's good.
Yeah, so it's neat.
It's a client. It should work for its money.
Yeah, I mean, because you'll see here, this actually adds up to more than 100 when you look at these numbers here. So that's what, yeah. So that's a different thing. But yeah, so you can see that's handling it, and we can show again, this with other clients as well, which we'll do it in a moment. Right. So should we drop back to the presentation?
Yeah.
Okay. You've got control back for that. There you go. You should be able to click now.
So one thing more we should, if I have control, what is just on the VDA side, you have to install the. You have to install the Zoom for VDI version there. So
yeah. Yep, we've done that bit.
Zoom demo. So let's move on to Teams. There has been a surge in the usage of Teams. So Teams, of course, with the COVID crisis, more people worked from home and had to work from home. So you saw the C2 Zoom and Teams surge in usage, and Teams has gone up to, I think, 70 million users. And I think it was in June or something around that
Absolutely. Number. I mean, we had a huge number of people all of a sudden, as soon as lockdown happened in the UK, we had a lot of people talking to us about Teams. It was kind of the primary thing. Everyone who was at home suddenly needed to have Teams access. So it's been really important for us.
Yeah, we saw that also. I didn't put that in these slides. We have those numbers, but I thought this is more on the technical side, so I'll leave that out.
Yeah, sure.
So, unlike Skype real-time optimization pack that we used to have, Teams optimization is built into the Workspace app media engine. You don't need to install anything on the client to get it working. Citrix Teams Optimization will support all platforms. We are always working close with IGEL on this, so we have Linux, of course, already there because that's used a lot. And just like with Skype, real-time optimization pack, we're optimizing audio and video, but we're now also optimizing screen sharing. Another other differentiation is, of course, that unlike with Skype, now you have a studio policy per user that allows you to control the features. So something that we are proud of, Citrix is a leader, I think, in providing optimized unified communication solution, and we support far over 1 million daily active users with our optimized solution together with Skype and Teams bundled together. We have some numbers about Teams, but we have to make sure that they are perfectly correct before we share them. And right now we have a preview out. It's nothing to do with IGEL. They don't have a Mac OS client, but still we have an optimization pack out in preview for Mac OS. I just want to share that.
Yeah, no problem.
So let's do a deep dive just for Teams that we understand. Now we're going over a lot of steps here. So the first step is that a user launches Teams in a VDA client, and Teams authenticates to Office 365, and the tenant policies are then pushed down to the Teams client, and relevant turn and signaling channel info is being relayed. When Teams detects it's running in a VDA, it makes an API call to the Citrix JavaScript, which is embedded in Teams. And you have the HTX Web RTC JavaScript. It opens a secure WebSocket connection to WebSocket service on the VDA. That's a 127.0.0.1 over port 9.0.0.2. And then the WebSocket service.exe runs local system account session 0, performing TLS termination and user session mapping. It's spawning a WebSocket agent.exe, and which now runs into the user session. Then the WebSocket agent.exe now initiates the general virtual channel by calling the HTX browser redirection service. It's CTX service host.exe. Then the workspace app agent, that's WFICA 32, it's HTX engine, spawns a new process called HTX Teams.exe, which is the new WebRTC engine used for Teams. And then HTX Teams and Teams now have a two-way virtual channel path and can start processing multimedia requests. So if user A calls on a call button, then Teams.exe talks with Team services in Azure, and an end-to-end signaling path is established with the caller B. Teams will ask HTX Teams for a series of supported call parameters, codecs, resolutions, etc. That's called an SDP offer, which are then relayed through the signaling path to Team services in Azure, and from there on to the other caller. And once the SDP offer answered, single pass negotiation and ICE connectivity checks, net firewalls, a lot of technical stuff, are completed, SRTP media will flow between HTX Teams.exe and the other peer, or Office 365 if conference services, if it's a meeting. That's a lot of technical stuff, but just to show the flow that you know what is happening when I start Teams and how does it work when I'm on a server.
There's a whole lot more there than people originally think, I think, is the thing about that. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that has to be thought about.
That's mostly you just think I click on something and it should work, but there are a lot of steps there happening there. I was wondering if we would do a demo again of the UMS, but yeah, you've shown this already.
It's the same tip box location, right?
Yeah, it's just a checkbox. It's just on the server side, on the VDA side, you could look at MSTeams are their support. If that's on a 0, then it's not supported. And if it's 1, then it's an optimized Teams running there. So you control that with a policy. But let's say somebody messed up and they have disabled it, then you can see that you are not running an optimized Teams solution and why that is. So with that, let's go to a Teams demo. Shall we do the same way again?
Yeah, so I've got my Teams up and running here, so you guys can see that now. So do you want to share yours?
I'm not going to share mine.
Okay.
There's the share button. Here's the share button. So you see mine is still Zoom. So let's take this Teams here. The quality was wonderful. Let's make a call. We have some demo accounts that we are using.
Yeah.
So there he is. I'm first going to show about a version so that you see we have an optimized Teams solution running. And then it's, of course, the camera quality and everything also that comes into play. So, but you see this optimized version running, and let's take the CPU level. And again, if you look at Teams is using 0.1% CPU, and again, Citrix graphics engine is using almost nothing. So it's quite amazing. Everybody who works with Teams and knows how heavy Teams is, they know if you would run Teams like this on the client, you cannot run on 1% CPU level.
Yeah, it's a hungry client, so yeah, it uses a bit, which is why the redirection makes a lot of sense to do at this point. So, yeah. Okay, should we show this the same side on the IGEL bit now? So let me share that again. There it is. Should share that. So here we are. We're in the session. I apologize. My dog is barking at the postman in the background. Isn't that just the best timing? So here we go. This is me in the same session now. If I just access I'm going to just actually, before I do that, let me launch up the client there, so you can see again the low CPU utilization in session, and we're viewing this obviously via VNC on my box here. If I just do that, we now see the same again, and you'll see this time we've got HDX Teams at the top there of that location, and it's using slightly more CPU utilization than it was on the Zoom client. A little bit more hungry, but yeah, it's using 86% of one CPU in this instance, so it's hovering around 80-90% of that single CPU, and using nearly sort of 33% of the total CPU utilization. But still, the session is flat. The session is fine, no issues there at all. So we're in the session here, and if you had a webcam attached to that device, I would see your video here, and it'd be much the same. You might have a slightly higher CPU utilization on the client side, but essentially you get that optimized experience. So it looks pretty good, right? It
looks pretty good. I'm still looking at CPU level, and if you move, of course, then it would go up normally, but it still stays at around 2%. So that's just that's a perfect. And it's fluid. I mean, the picture on my side may not be perfect because of camera quality, but it's fluid. It's just it's not pixelated that much, and the audio quality and everything. So
exactly. I mean, we're viewing this here again over VNC in my environment here, so we're not seeing it 100% frame rate. But on the device itself, when I look at the screen, it's perfect. And obviously, it would be the same for your video in this instance too.
Yeah. Sounds good. So, your dog is real busy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the postman. I think it's the Amazon man this time.
The poor guy out there. So let's go back to the slides.
Okay. So I think that concludes the demo, right? Is there anything else you want to talk about before we close that off?
No, I don't think we should.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for your time. It's been a nice little demo, hopefully. Sorry for the interruption with my dog.
Yeah, everybody, thank you for coming to the session, and enjoy the rest of the day in the sessions, and visit the booths, and see you all around.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.